back.
All right.
I don't know why that cut me out. So let me get my video back and get up here. How long had I blabbed before I got cut off? Dealing with one chat. Oh, I think I was talking about prisoners. The state attorney's office is going through the process of reviewing county jail sentences to see if they would be willing to agree to a suspension of the balance of the sentence. I don't know how long that's going. Pretty much, I think they're communicating directly with the courts on that. So let me get back to the. All right, let me. All right, for some reason, all my chat things are gone.
So I have them,
Okay.
Charlie. And so Les is asked, do you anticipate any defendants appealing these cases due to these new procedures being considered unconstitutional?
Well, I'm sure there are probably going to be some challenges to the suspension of the speedy trial time periods, but the court that will be deciding that decision, that point, was the same court that has suspended the speedy trial. So I don't know that there's, you know, it is what it is. And so if there's a pandemic going on, the courts have to view one's constitutional rights in view of the circumstances and what needs to be done to deal with the pandemic.
Okay. So past President Dean Scott said, I have heard that some law schools are foregoing admitting students for the 2020-2021 year. Do you have any insight into law school admissions? Mom always wanted me to be a lawyer.
Yeah, not admissions. I actually had a meeting a week and a half ago with the dean from University of Florida Law School. They were more concerned about the bar exam, their graduates this spring, whether they're going to be employed, things like that. Talking about the implications if they went to a pass-fail basis. I know the schools are concerned. I would be surprised if they had made decisions at this point not to take admissions in the fall. It's still kind of early. I'm thinking most people think by the end of May, early June, we may have turned the corner on all of this. And by that point, things will be a little bit back to normal. But I don't know of any schools that have cut down admissions for the fall.
Okay. Past President Vicki Lynn said she saw in the Times-Union that March 2020 was allegedly the most violent march in Jax history. Do you have any specific concerns about the impact on the court systems, log jams, public safety, etc.?
Yeah, I think, I'm trying to remember, I remember that article and whether they were just talking about homicides. I think that was one of those little ticks you see which are don't necessarily forecast a trend or anything of that nature. I don't sense that crime is running rampant out there. I don't think it has subsided a whole lot.
Okay. So that's all the questions that I see. So if any more chat questions come through, Charlie, you should be able to see them.
Okay, yeah, they're coming up here now. Yeah, Bill Langley asked about suspending the bar exam for graduating attorneys. I know that's under consideration. I suggested to the dean at the Florida Law School that they try to work with the bar, and instead of having all the examinees in one big convention hall, to spread it around to different schools and have the schools proctor it. I don't know if the Board of Bar Examiners are willing to give up that sort of control over the process, but we'll see. Dan, how is the county jail dealing with overcrowding and social distancing, or should I say required close quarters as part of being in jail? Uh, I I think they've been very fortunate so far that there hasn't been somebody come in or that the virus hasn't been introduced, because uh, it's just it's not a place that you can cope with the sort of social distancing. They have wanted us to get the jail population down. We, I think, made some progress in that, but I don't think they're really able to implement true social distancing. All right. All right.
I see one other question from Dan. Are you considering weekly testing of all prisoners?
That would be something for the jail to deal with. I haven't heard about that. We've been scrambling, just trying to implement the basic court functions. That's kind of somebody else's issue and concern, so they would have to respond to that.
All right. Any other questions? Jacob has one.
Any comments you can make on criminal law reform efforts in Tallahassee? Dinkins, I'm not sure what criminal law reform. Well, there were a lot of things in the legislature this year that were proposed. Most of them did not get through. There was a lot of talk about trying to deal with giving the Department of Corrections a little bit more control and discretion in terms of releasing elderly inmates or terminally ill inmates. There have been discussions going on for the last 2 or 3 sessions about returning or giving the local courts a little more discretion on whether to impose minimum mandatory sentencings. Those things have been coming up last few years. They've just not had enough push to get through. All right, has there been talk about making some of the tech advances permanent or investing in court budgets to make tech options more ubiquitous in the court system? I know the court's budget is a yearly battle. There are some jurisdictions that do first appearances via teleconferencing. When I was on the bench, I didn't see a whole lot of push by our local county judges to support that. I know I didn't support that. It's something that makes the process even more impersonal than it is. It may well be, I think they will be looking toward having the capability to do it a little bit more. We kind of had to work things from scratch. It was forced upon us. But just how we operate would be very difficult to make that a long-term permanent fix.
Any other questions? All right. Looks like we don't have any other questions. Charlie,
All right.
thank you very
Can I
much.
throw one? Can I throw one more in before the
Sure.
applause?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Is this William Charlie? Is there any post C-19 activities that y'all have had to go through that might be a net good when this is over, that you could look at and say, there's something we could do better in the future that we were forced to learn out of this draconian mess?
Well, from my standpoint, being an advocate of bond reform, I'm hoping to do the presentation I've been working on to the county judges and to try to get a bond reform, because there are many people in our local jail who are there on misdemeanors and nonviolent lower felonies who have a bond set, but because of their finances are not able to post a bond. So they remain in jail because they are poor. So I am hoping that this process makes it a little bit easier for the judges to consider releasing more people on those sort of offenses without having to post bond. So that's one thing. Time will tell what good we can make out of all this. I think it's probably going to force the state attorney's office to get their files in an electronic fashion, because it's been a more difficult process, I think, for them. So.
All right, Charlie, thank you so very much for
Right.
sharing with us today. It was very informative.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.